All yours, sir.
Welcome everybody to today's event at the Euregio JUG Aachen. We have the guest Mark Hecklers from Pivotal today. He has the longest trip, I think, to Aachen. He comes from St. Louis, Missouri in the USA. And he's going to speak about Spring 5 and Project Reactor today. Thank you very much for this.
Thanks for having me.
On the slide you see our next dates, still June 7th, changing your view and testing, and on October 4th, 360-degree monitoring of your microservices. The first one by Michael Brinkhoff from the Netherlands, and the other one by Philip Krenn. He comes from Vienna, looks for Elasticsearch. And today we have a little special. We are partnering with TopConf Düsseldorf. It's a nice conference in October. But
how do you know?
What?
It didn't happen yet. How
yeah, I think it's a nice conference. Some speakers, and thanks to Christoph and his contacts, we can refer a free ticket for the conference. Just one question. The one who wins, it would be nice if you can say if you can go or not. It has some value. I think it would be nice if it doesn't. It isn't unused. So I raffle now a ticket for TopConf.
You guys know where Düsseldorf is, right?
Düsseldorf.
It's a bit outside, but
it's the city next to Cologne. So let's see.
if you see Cologne on the map, that is where you can park your car.
Oh, Rainer Hermann isn't here, so. Who's going to tell him again?
That's Twitter.
Yeah. So next lucky person is Yugi Saplanov. Have you time on that day? Yeah. I sent you all the details for registering and result, and you make sure we go to talk about some people over there.
Yeah, great. Sure. Thank you.
So and another IntelliJ license I have in the book. Let's see what we have here. Tim Hersens has won an IntelliJ license for the whole product portfolio of NetBrains. Can you make use of it?
IntelliJ or because I already have an IntelliJ license.
Okay. So I should make up a good question so that we can ruffle. From which city comes Mark? Whoever answers this question first got a free license from
St. Louis.
You?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Johannes Frank.
Johannes Frank, you may contact me via email or did you register?
Yes, I.
So I sent you an email with the IntelliJ license. And thank you. For all the ones who wasn't lucky, there's a 10% discount code for the conference. There's a typo inside, but I think it works. Anyone who write it down, thank you for your time. Thanks for enjoy.
Okay. Do you want me to start now, or?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. Recording. Boom. Okay, so. Oh, you know what? Sigh. Let me,
You don't have to.
No, that's all right. Here we go. I had a mirror.
probably won't work with recording anymore.
What's that?
Probably won't work with the screen recording anymore.
Ah, dear. Yeah, you're right. Well, you know what? Let me pardon me while we work out our technical difficulties here.
No worries. We're all technicians here. We know how it is.
Okay, so stop. So Oh, duh. It's been a while since I've done the screen recordings, obviously. Let me kill that.
We were trying to make a nice recording of the talk like last time, and we just
Alright.
talk about recording this with the slides separately from
So, oops, yeah, there we go. So we should be fine. So this is going to be a bit more off the cuff because I can't see my notes, but I always just make it up anyway, so that's fine. Well, welcome. Hello. My name is Mark Hecklers again. Thanks for coming out to talk about going reactive with Spring 5 and Project Reactor, which is Pivotal's take on reactive streams. I am a developer advocate with Pivotal Software Inc. Pivotal are the makers of things like the Spring Framework, Spring Boot, Redis, RabbitMQ, Green Club, huge contributor to Apache Tomcat, huge contributor to Cloud Foundry. We like to say we're a tiny little startup out of Silicon Valley. I actually live in St. Louis, kind of the central U.S. I'm never there, but that's where I still have a home. As long as, I always kind of half-jokingly say that as long as my wife picks me up and takes me home, then I know I still live there. Depends. Different months are a little more travel intensive than others. Next month I'll be home, I think, 4 days, so that's pretty good. But anyway, I blog semi-regularly, not as often as I'd like. That's one of my 2017 New Year's resolutions. But I blog somewhat, once in a while, at thehecklers.org, my personal domain. I tweet all the time at mkheck. I kind of live on Twitter, sun up to sundown, and sometimes lying in bed. Is anyone on Twitter? Oh, good. Good. That's a good. You'd be surprised. I mean, this is 2017, and a lot of people aren't on Twitter, and it always makes me a little sad because Twitter has a high signal-to-noise ratio. It doesn't mean that there's not crud on Twitter, but it's certainly a lot more condensed good stuff versus like Facebook or LinkedIn. So I live on Twitter. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, we have this much time here tonight, and we have practically unlimited time after that. So if I don't hit something, or I hit it too briefly, or you have questions or comments or feedback, please ping me. Twitter is the fastest way to get a response. But for those of you who aren't on Twitter or don't want to be on Twitter, I'm also a member of the slightly older and more established social network called email. Is anyone on email? Okay, a few more, that's good. Like you, I have a half a dozen email addresses, so I always just give my personal one. It's mark@thehecklers.org. But please do reach out to me if what you have to say or ask or whatever doesn't fit in 140 characters, or if you just hate Twitter, ping me on email, but I'm not quite as diligent about responses on email, so anyway. And why did that, it's switched back to non-mirrored. Am I, oh, well, there's why. Recording stopped, try recording again. Well, this is going to go great. I can tell already. Let me try this again. New screen recording. Click, 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 click. That seems to work. Okay, well, we'll go with that. So who am I? I am the author of several blogs and blog posts. I have co-authored one book. I have another one in the pipeline. I've contributed content and code to other books as well. So I love to read, I love to write, I love to share. I always kind of jokingly say that there are two things I love to do in this world. One is code, one is talk. So this is a perfect job for me. I enjoy this. And as such, I kind of get to travel all around and speak, which is cool. So thanks for inviting me here. I've known Michael for several years, and good friend, great guy. And he's been kind of pinging me for a while to come visit, so it all worked out where I could. So thanks for inviting me. And by the way, before I go too much further, did you see on Twitter, those of you who are on Twitter, the thing about the limousine this morning? Michael put something out about, we're trying to arrange the transportation for me tonight. And I jokingly came back and said, yes, that's how I always travel. Please make sure that there's a bowl of M&Ms in there with all the brown ones removed. Because Van Halen did that, I think, in one of their contracts early on, because it wasn't that they cared about M&Ms or brown M&Ms, but that told them that whoever was in charge of the facility had gone through the entire contract and was adhering to it. So they'd walk into the dressing room and see, oh, there's no bowl of M&Ms, or yes, they're there, but the brown ones are in there. So they'd know that they were probably not being very attentive to the details of the contract. It was just a simple trick. So I jokingly said this, so I walk in this evening, and what do I see? This is unreal. So I can't eat all these, so please do pass them around or whatever. But I have sampled them, and they're standard M&Ms. So but thank you very much. Oh yeah. So on top of it, man, I should have dreamed bigger, shouldn't I? But I love food. So I'm a software architect and developer, and as you might gather from the next line item, most of my expertise is in the area of Java. Here's a Java developer. Yay! Well, I'm not yet. Well, I asked that question, and it's always surprising to me, even at Java user groups, that you'll have, somebody will let in the JavaScript person. How does this even happen? But, whatever. We like JavaScript people. They remind us how good we have it. So who here is a Spring framework user? Who has or is, okay, Spring Boot? Okay, good. Not bad. Hey, can you keep it down back there? All right. So anyway, I've been recognized by my peers for contributions to the greater Java community. So if you had anything to do with that, thanks. I just got inducted last year, so I'm happy to be a part of it. So tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, kind of Rossen Stoyanchev, who's on the Project Reactor team, summed it up pretty nicely, I think. He said, in a nutshell, reactive programming is about non-blocking, event-driven applications. 1. That scale with a small number of threads. 2. With back pressure as a key ingredient that aims to ensure producers do not overwhelm consumers. Not bad. Kind of a nice summary, right? Oh, you know what? I just remembered something because my phone flashed. If you don't mind, I forgot this last night. If you don't mind, I'd like to get a photo with you all, because that way I can prove to my boss that I'm actually and not just here drinking beer.
I just need a photo of you.
Okay.
You don't need to.
Well, you know what? I'll take your word for it, because I'm not. My photos always come out where it's like the corner of my head. Anyway, all right. Well, so how did we get here? I guess to start off with, Eric Meyer at Microsoft started with the whole reactive extension thing in the .NET arena. And over time, of course, that kind of migrates to different environments. Netflix notably started off in the JVM with RxJava. I'm going to silence my notifications on my watch, too. So here we go. So RxJava 1.0 from Netflix. And over time, of course, that's evolved. But as that kind of got some traction, you had a lot of players throughout the industry who were thinking, this is probably a good thing, and we want to have a voice in this and help drive this forward. So you had companies like Pivotal, like Lightbend, like Red Hat, Netflix, of course, and Oracle even came on board and are trying to come together and provide a reactive stream specification. Now, when this kind of kicked off, they started with a manifesto, because everything in our field has to start with a manifesto, right? So there was a reactive manifesto, which kind of laid out the overarching goals, and then the key players kind of came together and created the reactive streams specification. And the specification is pretty small. There are 4 interfaces defined: publisher, subscriber, subscription, and then a processor which incorporates the publisher and subscriber. So they're all 4 interfaces, and then there's a TCK. So the idea was that each different participant may have their own implementation of reactive streams, but they should all be interoperable. So as long as you pass that TCK, you understand that Akka streams can interact with Project Reactor, can interact with whatever else. So you have a lot of cooperation in this field. It's kind of a somewhat rare thing in our field to have a great deal of cooperation among several different players, but we have it. It's a good thing. So how do we get here, I guess? This is kind of the pivotal interview. You have RxJava, which kind of influenced heavily the reactive streams specification, and thus the reactive streams commons. Reactor Core is kind of the the core library of capabilities, reactive-wise, within the pivotal ecosystem, I'll say. The reason I phrase it that way is because it is going to be incorporated into Spring 5, but you can use it exclusive of Spring 5. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from putting that to use any way you want to, anywhere you want to. But of course, it's going to be incorporated into Spring. Makes sense. You have different things like add-ons and I/O, where you incorporate different functionalities that fall outside of core but are complementary to Reactive core, and then of course streams. So a quick overview of Project Reactor, just kind of a broad brush. Reactive core, Reactor is still an unblocking foundation with efficient demand management. It does directly interact with Java 8 functional API, completable future, stream, and duration. So is anybody, who here is doing Java 8 stuff already? I say already, but I mean, that's, you know, I mean, it's not like new, but a lot of times we're stuck with companies and organizations that are a little behind the curve, so I always like to ask. And sometimes for good reasons, sometimes not. Within Project Reactor, you can build your own publishers, you can build your own subscribers, but it makes a lot of sense to go with a packaged version, an implementation that's already been provided, where a lot of the extensive work that goes into providing usable and useful implementation have already been done for you. Within Project Reactor, there are a couple of different fundamental building blocks, and those are called Mono and Flux. I don't know how they came up with the name. Mono kind of makes sense. I mean, it's 0 or 1 values. So instead of returning a thing, you will return either 0 or 1 of that thing. That's the mono. Flux is in. So in instances of that thing, whatever that is. It's also, of course, with Project Reactor, you're talking about non-blocking inter-process communication, suitable for microservices, back pressure ready. This is important because when you have a very efficient server-side process running, you can easily overwhelm consumers. So there needs to be some way for that consumer or subscriber to provide some kind of feedback, to provide some kind of metering to where the producer doesn't overwhelm it, the publisher doesn't. So here are the main components, kind of, again, a high-level overview of Project Reactor. We're going to be talking primarily about Reactor Core, Reactor Test, and Reactor Netting. Now, does anyone use RatPack or something similar? It's specifically built with netting in mind. Everybody has a little different take on Reactive. I personally feel, and I know I'm incredibly biased, but I personally feel that we're doing it right. And here's why. Well, I have reasons. It's not just because they get me checked, which I like and I appreciate. But we are willing to and able to work with any Servlet 3.1 engine. So we're going to be supporting Tomcat. What is it, 8.1, and Netty, and just you're like Undertow. I just completely blank. So it doesn't really matter what you necessarily choose. We also, as opposed to some people's interpretations of other vendors, rather than say, hey, you know you have this huge body of systems out there, ignore those, start over. The idea behind the way that it's being implemented within Spring 5 is that we don't expect you to throw away 10 years of hard-won expertise. If you want to go full functional reactive programming, you can, but you don't have to get the power of reactive within your Spring application. We are implementing these things, the imperative model and the reactive model, side by side. And it's more work, obviously, for us, but that means that when we find an issue in one, we should be able, if it applies to the other, to transplant that and improve the other side as well. It also means that you're going to see a lot of stuff tonight that looks a lot like what you're used to. There are going to be some things that are a little different, but it's not jarring. It's not completely throw away everything you know, because this is entirely different. Again, you can do full functional reactive, but what I'm going to be showing you tonight is much more of a gentle on-ramp, and hopefully you'll find that useful, because I think it's great, and that's why I feel like we're doing the right thing. Because if you want to go all out, sure, that's great, but you don't have to gain those benefits. So it's showtime. Does anybody recognize this guy? Oh, thank goodness. I always worry a little bit. This is a hint, if anybody, well, dear colleague. So, the reason I show that is not just because I'm a big Whovian, big Doctor Who fan, but also because we're going to do a little time travel tonight. Okay? So I hope everybody's ready, prepared. Because with a reactive model, you run into different situations that might make for some concern if you didn't do something along these lines. So just keep it in the back of your mind. We'll come back to it. And with that, let's cut over to here. So with any microservices journey, this is where you should start. If you're talking blocking, if you're talking non-blocking, this is where your home should be, and that's start.spring.io or the Spring Initializer. So anybody familiar with this? Okay. Well, you can curl it. You can use a Spring command line interface, or you can just go to the website. I like to pull it up in the browser because it's so pretty. Okay, it's not that pretty, but it's prettier than some of our stuff, interfaces. So, or some of other folks' interfaces too. But it works. I'll give you a really quick tour of it if you're not familiar with it. This does not generate any code for you. What it does is it allows you to choose your dependencies, and it creates a shell project. So it creates your build file for you, and then it creates your main application method, class. And that's it. But it gives you that head start. If you're not familiar with Spring Boot, Spring Boot allows you to consume all the capabilities of the Spring framework very easily. It's much more consumable, is how I put it. But it brings things in like creating fat jars. So you bundle your dependencies, you bring them with you. You can deploy it anywhere there's a JVM. It also allows you to clean up your dependencies with starter bombs or POMs, which streamlines things quite a bit. And you have auto-configuration, which based upon the things in your class tab, the dependencies, your annotations in your code, it makes sensible assessments and judgments on what you need to provide capabilities. We'll stop there. I'll come back to this as I go through. But, so, how do you get started? Well, if you are a Maven developer, you can generate a Maven project. If you're a hipster, you can generate a Gradle project. So if you hipsters out there, you're not out of luck. If you also can choose your version of Spring Boot. We just today with the 5.3. So yay, it's only this. But I'm not going to be showing you that tonight anyway, so that's fine. I have had stuff updated and hit the Spring Initializer between an afternoon session that I did and an evening session that I did, and found a regression that evening. That was exciting. In front of a whole room of people. But stuff happens. And the cool thing is, because we're a distributed team, and because it's open source, I threw it out on Slack. And by the time I woke up the next morning, because I went home, it drove me crazy. I went home, I identified it, I made note of it, and by the time I got up the next morning, one of our colleagues in Poland had pushed an update, so everything was fine. I said. But you can choose the version of boot you want to use. Typically, we show the current version, a couple versions prior, usually one version, snapshot on either side of it. There we go. And then, of course, we have 2.0 of boot in there because that is what gets your reactive bits. Spring 5 comes out this summer, the Spring framework. Spring Boot 2.0, which allows you to package this in a Spring Boot application, is supposed to be GA by end of year. So December-ish, somewhere in there. So these are early access bits. Things could break. The API is fairly stable, but of course, it's not GA yet, so there could be API changes. So that's always a little exciting, but you can get in and start playing with it now. So I'm going to choose that, 2.0. So this is early access, not general availability yet. Oh, I did want to show you though, another nice thing about Spring Boot is your version synchronized. So that if you go down through the list, based upon whatever version of Spring Boot you choose, the dependencies that you may choose off the list are version synchronized. They're battle tested with the version of boot you choose. If you've ever had the joy of playing whack-a-mole, dependency whack-a-mole, where you have multiple dependencies and something just breaks, and you finally figure out, you do all the stuff you're supposed to do, you do your troubleshooting, your due diligence, you hit Google, you hit Stack Overflow, and you still can't figure it out. And you finally figure out, just by trial and error, that if you have version 3 of library A, that it doesn't run right, it doesn't work. It doesn't even throw an exception. It just fails to work with version 7 of library B. But if you roll it back to version 6, everything's fine. So if you choose off the menu, you don't have to worry about that. Spring Boot is opinionated, like Spring Framework is, though. So if you're doing that 80 to 90% use case, you don't have to do anything. It kind of handles it for you. But if you color outside of those lines, you still can do it. You still can provide a version if you need a specific version. Or you can provide your own library if it's not on the list. That's fine. But this just kind of helps streamline things a bit. So you can go down here and choose off the list. I don't, because it's kind of an eye chart, but you can. So what I usually do is go back to the simple version. And what I'm going to do is start off by creating a sample project. So is anyone familiar with my colleague Josh Long, Starbucks man? Okay. Josh and I spent some time together in January and worked on this example project. And we were trying to come up with a useful use case that was interesting and fun and showed the capabilities of Reactor in a fairly consumable and quick way. So it didn't take us 6 hours to talk. Although you said I could talk 6 hours tonight, which was really nice. So thanks. Thanks, everyone. But we came up with a great idea of a movie service about reactive titles, reactive movies, right? Really, no one? Okay, this isn't going to go well, I can already tell. My wife tells me that I'm unintentionally funny, which means that I'm only funny when I'm not trying to be.
It actually works. It just works.
Well, yeah, I guess it's true, isn't it? I guess. See, you should never question your wife. Never question your wife. Your wife is, repeat after me, my wife is always right. Oh, you're not? Oh, well, if you guys need to leave for a minute, that's fine. All right. Let's watch at the window, okay? So Josh is not funny, but to me, but compared to me, he's hilarious. He's my idol because I am so unfunny, it's just painful. So I will be trying to be funny tonight. And I do accept pity laughs, because that's about the only kind I can get. So if you want to humor me and make me feel better about being horrible, please do, that's fine. So anyway, we had this great idea. We're going to create a movie service about reactive movies, reactive-related movies. So streaming and lambdas and reactive this and flux that and mono this. So it seemed like a good idea, right? Why not? What could be better? So we called it Flux Service. You were in Netflix, right? Is anybody a Netflix subscriber? Okay, the rest of you just save yourselves, don't subscribe. Great thing. I don't even.
I listen anyway.
Yeah. Well, we canceled our satellite dish because it's like all we ever do is stream. So, and I'm never home, but now you can download stuff and watch it anywhere, which is great. Between that and Amazon Prime, so Amazon Video on Demand on Gold. Wow. Okay. Anyway, I thought it was funny. See what I mean? So what do we need? What kind of dependencies do we need for this? I'm going to pull in Reactive Web, which enables us to do reactive, as it says, reactive web development with Netty and Spring Web Flux. Okay, this is another thing. You're familiar with the term Spring Web MVC? That's the imperative model. We needed some catchy title because we started trying to call it Reactive Spring, and that seemed kind of ambiguous. And when we talk Reactive Spring, it can mean Project Reactor and Spring Framework 5, and. So it was ambiguous. Add that to the fact that it really doesn't show up well in search results. I mean, it's really frustrating when you are trying to Google something and it's 7 pages down before you even get what you're looking for. So the fact that Flux is kind of central to our reactive approach, somebody proposed the idea of Spring Web Flux instead of Web MVC, Web Flux. I'm not sure I love that name, but it does show up really well in search results, so that's at least useful for us as we develop stuff. But that's what it's called if you look at package names. So, sorry. So we're going to use that. I'm going to pull in Reactive Mongo because we want to be able to lose our data reactively, right? Mongo, I'm kidding. Mongo was one of the first databases that actually has fully reactive drivers. And it's a little frustrating to develop an application that's reactive and then it hits the database and blocks. It doesn't really accomplish much. Because the idea, of course, is most of our stuff is we're going to save something, right, or retrieve something, right? So you really want that fully reactive interactions all the way up and down the stack. So Mongo was the first. I think Couchbase is providing a driver now, and even last year at Java 1, Oracle was talking about Reactive JDBC. I don't know if or when that will happen, but the fact that it's being talked about is a pretty good sign that everybody's pretty much recognizing this is something that needs or they want to provide. So we're going to use Mongo tonight, and I'm going to bring in Lombok. Does anybody use Lombok? Do you like Lombok? Okay, yeah. It's like Nathan. I have a love-hate relationship with Lombok too. But I loved it and I hated it. I kind of love it again, so you're going to see it tonight. Sorry. But I'm a lazy developer, right? And lazy developers are good developers. They don't write a bunch of code they don't have to write, so they can focus on what needs to be done. So I'm going to use Lombok for that. I'm also going to add another dependency, but I have to do that manually. So I will just do that momentarily. Because again, only access. So let's see here. Desktop, and I'm going to open this, and I'm going to pull this up in our favorite browser. Okay, you want to start a food fight? Who here? No? Who here? Yeah. Who here uses IntelliJ? That's great. Who here uses Eclipse?
That's okay.
That's okay. Who here uses NetBeans? Who likes that? Okay, anyway. Spring, obviously, if you're doing anything with Spring and you're using any of those IDEs, you understand there's support in all of those IDEs. We have created a Spring tool suite based on Eclipse, and it continues to get better and better and better. Every release, I kind of look longingly at it a little bit more. But I'm very familiar and comfortable with IntelliJ, so that's what I use. It doesn't matter, use whatever you want, it's all good. But I still will joke about the others. So. And even the jokes won't be funny. But I'm going to pull up the POM XML. I'm going to add the dependency that I mentioned earlier, because what I want to do is, oops, getting ahead of myself already. I do need to say, I'm going to include reactor tests. And remember what I said about version synchronization? IntelliJ offers this to complete your dependency, but you don't have to have it, because obviously it can version synchronize that. So I just remove it. But I will, throughout the evening, I will be intentionally putting typos in my code just to see if you're paying attention. So front row, if I make a typo, it's on you, okay? Because you're right up, you can see this stuff. So if there's a typo in there, it's your fault, not mine. I'm just trying to catch it. I'm kidding. I get going faster and faster, and the typos for some reason won't. So, all right, so. The first thing that we want to start off with, please, is that we want to create our domain objects, right? So I'm going to create a Mongo entity here. I'm going to use Lombok so that I can be lazy, and I'm going to have Lombok create me an all-argument constructor, and I'm going to create a class called movie, which makes sense because this is a Flux service, right? And I'm going to designate an ID field. We'll make this a private string. We'll call it cleverly enough ID. I'm also going to create a couple of other members called, let's see, title for a movie, right, and genre, and that should get us what we need. I'm then going to also create another class, and I'll create another constructor. We'll call it class movie event. Now, if we were to field this application, everything has a social aspect nowadays, right? So if we're watching a movie, and we're watching a reactive movie, and we're really excited about this really geeky movie we're watching, wouldn't it be cool to see who else is watching that same movie at the same time? So you can say, Michael clearly has excellent taste. He's watching the same movie I am at the same time. Okay, is anyone familiar with Microsoft's TAG? The AI bot that they put on Twitter several months ago? Yeah, and hold it off within 24 hours. They made several staggeringly bad decisions. They created an AI-driven chatbot and created a Twitter account for Tay, and they needed to build a profile. So they brilliantly made Tay a a 16-year-old female. And the idea was, of course, to have the Twitterverse help train Tay to think independently, to help grow that artificial intelligence. So, of course, people being people, some of them were really nice, and they started off with, "Hi, Tay, how are you? What are you doing today? What's your favorite food?" Things like that, nice things. And then other people were like, "Tay, repeat after me." And they started training Tay to say racist, horrible things and just nasty stuff. And within a short amount of time, Tay went from being an interesting experiment to a laughing stock. And Microsoft, dutifully pulled it off, published a postmortem, learned their lesson. People. So you probably don't want, the reason I bring that up is you probably don't want to incorporate something like this in real life, because that social element probably wouldn't be a great idea, but it makes for a great example. So we're going to do that. We're going to pretend it's a great idea. So what do we want for a movie event? We're probably going to want to track our user, right? So we know who our user is, who's watching our users at any given point in time. We also want to, of course, track the movie, and then the time. We want to track when it's being watched. So that gets input right. It's not fussing at me or anything.
Did you just
How about that?
date?
Sweet. What's that?
Did you just use date?
Yes.
Didn't you say, didn't you talk about Java 8? Come on, man.
It's okay.
Date time.
Okay, now, here's the next part. My last name is Heckler. Okay. I am a heckler. I have a good time with it, but I try not to be mean. But I always have a rule that if anybody does heckle me from the audience, they have to take over the presentation.
I can do it. It won't
It
work out for you.
It won't work out for you with him, no worries. We'll make an extra event with him.
Okay.
Well, I can take over. It won't work out for you.
I'm living on very little sleep this week. I haven't slept since before I came, other than just fitfully, and I've been propping myself up with coffee ever since, which I love coffee, so it's not really a bad thing. But I'm not even sure I'm making sense. So if I start to veer off and you're not understanding a word I'm saying, somebody just save yourselves, pull me off, and take it. Okay? But so far, it seems like... that's probably not going to help. We can pair. Anyway, sure. We need to do that at some point anyway. Anyway, okay. Where was I? So we have our domain object. So I'm going to create an interface. We're going to call it a movie repository, and I'm going to extend, a Reactive Mongo repository. Does anybody use Spring Data? Okay, and cool. Spring Data is awesome. It allows you to abstract concepts on top of an underlying data store. It gives you a lot of capabilities out of the box for next to nothing, next to no effort. So again, lazy developer, that's a good thing. The idea is that if you extend one of Spring Data's interfaces, then Spring Boot is smart enough to recognize that you have done so. So it says, hey, you must want a proxy beam so it can interact with your underlying data store. And as a result, this is the extensive code you have to provide. We're going to create extend our Reactive Mongo repository interface, I should say. We're going to specify this for a type of movie and screen. See, it's already going badly already. And that's our IAD type. So this is the extensive coding I have to do to provide that basic level of functionality. Really cool. So we have a working application from the app down reactively, but we don't have any way to really see what's going on. Let's put something in there where we can see what's going on. I like to see what's happening, just to make sure what's happening is what I think should happen. So I'm going to create a beam that implements a command line render interface, and I'm going to just call this demo data and inject my movie repository. So, let's see, return strings. Okay, so for the Java 8 folks in here, you're familiar with functional interfaces? Single abstract methods? Okay, that's what we're doing here. The command line runner interface has a single abstract method called run. We're going to provide the lambda that provides the implementation for that. So, the first thing I'm going to do is do a movie repository, delete all, block. Now the reason I'm doing that, even though I'm blocking, is because when we restart each time, otherwise we're going to add the same records back into the data store. We don't want to do that. So for the demo, I'm going to block ones here. So I usually try to point out when I'm doing something that is not production ready, and that's one of the things. So just so you know, don't do that and say Mark said it was okay. It's not okay. Except for demo work. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We want to do a stream.of, and let's create some movie titles, some reactive movie titles. So things like meet the Fluxers. See what I did there? Anybody? Any ideas? This is the interactive part. Come on.
The Heckler.
Oh yeah, yeah. Eon.
You got a typo inside, you know?
What?
No, that's the official spelling.
Right there. So what was your?
That's the Hecklers.
What? Okay, now it may just be me being tired. That's not making sense to me.
Flux capacitor.
Oh, okay. Flux flood, a flux to fill. There we go. Okay.
From flux to gone.
Sure. Faster.
Flux strikes back.
Strikes back. Any Hispanohablantes in here? Spanish speakers? There's a great Spanish movie called Y tu mamá también, and your mother also. So we're going to see Y tu mono también. So, and your mono also?
The last mono.
The last mono, okay. Let's see, enter the void, right? And we're going to do enter the mono void. What else? Oh, Joe Webb came up with a great one. I was so jealous. The silence of the lamb. So jealous. That was the best one.
Mono University.
Okay. That reminds me. Yeah, Mono University. Yeah, somebody else came up with the one, the mono. I think this is
The monorail.
The mono ones instead of the minions. Monorail. Okay. All right, that's good. So we have.
No, you're missing from flux till dawn.
Okay. Flux till dawn. Okay. So we have a good collection of titles here. So obviously you guys would pay for the service, right? Sure, I would too. Right? As long as the price is reasonable. I mean, couldn't be needing more than $200 a month. So we're going to take that stream and we're going to let's map that stream of titles. So we're going to take the title and we're going to do a new movie, right? And we'll specify a UID random toString, so we get our ID, and then we'll apply the title, and then let's apply a random genre, which we'll just create that here in a minute. And then let's do our for each, so we can take our movie that we now have, and we'll do a movie repository dot save Dave. Remember Dave? That's a new method we're going to add. We're going to save our movie, and then we're going to do a subscribe to that action, so we can do a system.out print line, because I always like, again, to see what I'm doing, see what's happening. So let's go and create our okay, so we'll create a private string random genre method. We'll create an array of strings. We'll call them genres. Again, cleverly enough. So comedy, rom-com,
curly bracket.
drama. What?
No, okay.
Okay. Drama, documentary, horror, family, action. Okay, that's good. And we're going to split that. So that gets us our list of genres. So then we'll return. Whoops. Boom. Typing going downhill fast. Okay, we're going to return genres, and we'll return new random. Next int, and we'll bound that based on the genres. That should get us what we need. So let's go ahead and start it. Oh, I just remembered something. That's right. It's going to fail. Well, let's watch it fail. Failing's fun. You learn more when things don't work, right? Than when they do. No. Connection refused. You know why? Because we didn't offer our sacrifice to the Mon God. This is one of the cool things, I think, about MongoDB, because it has the Mongo daemon, right? How do you start that? You appease, you offer sacrifice to the Mongo. So we just, we do that right here. So, Mongo. So now, this should be happy, so let's go ahead and restart. Oh, it actually did, never mind, I did it anyway. So we're going to restart, and we'll see what happens. It should be happy, the Mongo has been appeased, everything's fine. So we have movies, and we have added them to our Mongo repository. Reactive. Yeah, I always kind of like to look, yeah, so the Flux Strikes Back is a family movie, A Flux to a Kill is family, Meet the Fluxers, family, maybe not so much.
The whole
Monolith is a rom-com.
what's the drama?
Yeah, I know, drama.
Actually,
There was one, what was it the other night that it was some real, like horror flick, and it was like family or something. Wouldn't recommend that, but yeah, everybody's got different bars. Okay, so what we've done now is we've created a reactive connection, so to speak, between our application and our underlying data source. So we've done that much, so let's build it up from there. What's the next step? We probably want to create a service API so that we can interact with it at the program level within process. So we're going to create a service, and we'll call this FluxFlix service. Again, I'm so good with names. So I'm going to inject a movie repository. We use constructor injection, but that's the way we should always do it for testability, right? So what do we want to do? What kind of capabilities do we want to provide? We're probably going to want to return a flux of type movie, right? And I kind of skipped over this part. With Spring Data, you get a lot of capabilities built in that we had to effectively write no code to get. So we can do a find all and return all records in our database. We can do a find one and search based on the ID of a particular object or record. But you can also extend this. So we're going to provide a couple things. We're going to say we're going to want to be able to search for a flux of type movie by doing a find by find by genre. So we want to be able to provide a genre. Oh boy, yeah, it's really going off the tracks here. String genre, right? And we'll also probably want to be able to return a moon of type movie. I may need somebody to come and type for me. Even if I keep talking, I may need somebody to type. So we're going to be able to find by title. We may want to be able to find a particular movie by title, or at least find out if we have one. So let's go back up here to our service, and we're going to provide an implementation, an API for returning a flux of type movie. So let's say find all movies, right? So return this movie repository, find all, makes sense. Then we also, let's do a mono type movie, find by ID. We pass it a string ID, and again, we return this repository, find one for our ID. Makes sense. What else do you think we might want to do? We want to probably return a monotype maybe find by title, right? String title, we pass the title, we return this repository, find by title, title. And let's see, probably a flux of type movie, find related movies. And let's see, so we'll pass the movie. And at this point, we'll probably do a return this.movie repository dot find genre movie dot get genre. Now, remember, we want this to have a social aspect. So we provided some kind of basic API stuff at this point, but we want to be able to see who's watching the same movie we are, because undoubtedly they must be really cool people. If we have a live service, that would be pretty easy, right? Because when Michael starts streaming something, it will show up that Michael's streaming Meet the Fluxers. And that's great, because then we can just query that and show that, but we don't have that yet. We're not in production, so we need to kind of generate those. So let's create something in which we can generate that list. We'll do a flux of type movie event, get movie events for a particular movie. Now, let's generate it. So we need a flux of type movie event. We'll cleverly enough call this event flux, and we'll do a flux dot from stream, and let's create a stream dot generate. Actually, let me bounce it down here. So we'll do new movie event, and let's see, what's in our movie event, right? Well, we want the user, so let's generate a user. We'll do a random user. We'll do kind of the same thing we did before. And then it's, of course, for this movie, and a new date. So, let's see here. So, let's create a random user. Private string, random user, string.
We're missing a record.
What's that?
We're missing a closing record line service.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
sure, okay, that's cool. That's all right. Thank you very much. Okay, so string of users equals, okay, Michael, let's see, Christoph, whoever, let's see, Stefan, spell,
EFAN.
S-T-A-N, okay, thank you. Even if you told me, I may not have gotten it right. What's,
Ralph.
Like Wiggins.
A-L-S-P-A-T-H. Okay. Anybody else want to volunteer? I won't tell you why. No, I'm just kidding. It's safe. It's safe. What's your name?
Manfred? Mike, Alpha, November, Foxtrot, Romeo,
Ooh, yeah. Nice, phonetic alphabet. Whoa! I always try to use that. Once in a while I kind of forget. I always track it when I'm on the phone and they say, can you read your account number? And I do it phonetically and they're like, what?
So we would actually be S phonetic alphabet. That's even more impressive.
What's that?
Would be US or the English phonetic
Oh, no
alphabet.
kidding, that's true.
So that
Yeah.
would be more impressive.
It's hard enough for me in English is...
Let me guess, you work for the military.
I'm no M.
All right, so we have our users. Oh, whoops, let's see, I need to do a split by comma space, and then we'll return again our users. Whoops, boom, new, random, kind of same thing we're going to do here. Dot nextEnt, and we're going to bound that based upon our users. Dot blank. Okay, so now we have a random user we're going to provide, and now we have a flux. So what do we do at this point? We're going to return our event flux dot zip with, and I'm going to create another flux. I'm going to do this kind of in line because it's, why not, right? So we'll do a flux dot interval, and we'll do a duration of seconds 1. All that does, we're creating a flux. Okay, let me kind of break that out.
It's too late for me today. Aren't you risking an index of a bounded section at this point?
I'm sorry?
Aren't you risking an index of a bounded section?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. Hold on. Well, yeah, hold that thought.
It's too late,
I'm going to create, what I'm doing here is I'm creating two fluxes. And the movie event flux, as you might imagine, we have a stream generator here. And it's just going to generate a massive onslaught of movie events. Just completely, just flood the thing. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm zipping it with another flux that I'm creating that is a pulse. It just creates a new value every second. And it increments the value. And it's just beep, beep, beep. And just like a zipper on your hoodie or your jeans or whatever, it's 2 to 2. So it's one value of each matching up. So that effectively gates that first one to 1 per second. So that makes it somewhat manageable for our example. And then what I'm going to do at this point is do a map of that. And I'm going to map that to a tuple 2 and get T1. So I'm going to grab the first one back out of it. I'm zipping them together so I can gate the speed of that first one. And then I'm going to extract that first one's value back out as a flux of type movie event. So it's pretty simple. I mean, it kind of looks like a lot online, but it's pretty simple. So now we have something in place that we can work with. But how do we test something like that? I mean, wouldn't it really be cool if we could test something like that somehow? I never lead with, hey, we're going to talk about testing tonight, because everybody goes, oh, testing, it's so exciting. But we're going to do some testing tonight, and it will be exciting, because what we're going to do is time travel. And remember, this is the doctrine, so there will be time travel involved. First thing I'm going to do is auto-wire in our FluxFlux service, which I didn't notice until somebody pointed out, I think it was Josh, that the shorthand for FluxFlux service is FFS. So, whatever. Yeah, I know. I'm slow, but I get there. Okay, so I'm going to name this method, get movie events, take 10. Because you should always descriptively name your test methods, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a movie. That's what everybody does, right? Just grab a movie. I can't even type now. So we'll do a FluxFlux service, find all movies, block first. Because what this is going to do is it's going to request all movies back from Mongo. And it's going to get them in any order possible. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of whatever comes back. And as soon as we get the first value, we're done. We just want to random movie. So we're going to grab that movie. And then we're going to exercise our step verifier. This is in Reactor test. And this is how we time travel. Remember, when you're talking reactive, that what happens with values, it's not where you don't assemble a certain number of values and push them down the pipe like you do with stream. What happens is you have an emitter that may put out a value every second or every day or every year. And with a flux, you're waiting for that next value. And as a test case, as a unit test, you really don't want to wait for 10 values and wait 10 days or 10 weeks. You don't know. You don't always know when that next value is going to be kept. So we want to be able to compress time. So we're going to use Rift virtual time, right? Which is kind of nice. We don't have to wait. We can run our test now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a FluxFlux service dot get movie events for our movie, and then I'm going to do a 10, and then I'm going to do a select collectors to list. So I'm going to bring this into a list, and then I'm going to, what do we need to do yet next? We're going to do a then await, right? And we'll await a certain amount of time. We'll say 10 hours. It doesn't matter. We can make it 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days. Doesn't matter, because we're compressing time. We're time traveling. And then we're going to do a consume next with, and of course we have our list. So at this point, your mileage may vary. I like to do the assert true. So I can do a list dot size equals 10, because we said take 10. This is back pressure in action. We're requesting a certain number so that our publisher doesn't overwhelm us as a consumer. So we're going to take 10, and then we're going to verify complete, and that should work, right? Assuming we've done everything right, and the front row hasn't let me down. Front row, you feel lucky, huh? Okay, we're going to run this. We're going to see how lucky we feel. And this should work. And it does work. So we're done. Any questions? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this works. But just so we can verify there's no funny business going on, and it fails as we would expect, just like it runs and succeeds as we would expect. Let's go ahead and run it again, assuming or asserting that the list size is not equal to 10. And of course it fails. So it's working as we hope and expect it to do. So we'll put it back, and whoops. And again, because I like to test things, I like to make sure everything works as I expect them to. And yes, okay, good. So we continue. So now that we've established that our API is down, now we need to go out of process, right? So let's see what happens. How do we do that? Let's build REST API. So we're going to do a REST controller. We're going to do a request mapping. We'll map this to movies, right? And we're going to call this class movie controller. Okay, and I'm going to inject our FluxFlux service. Begin construction injection. Whoa, lights! I noticed, I was starting to get sleepy. So that's good, because Michael didn't bring me any coffee here. I'm just kidding. Michael thought he had to try to do M&Ms and limo and all that stuff. I'm a cheap date. I mean, I would have been happy with the coffee. And actually he got me a copy, so I guess we're good. But 2 copies would have been better. Okay, So we've got our movie controller. So what do we want to do? Well, we're probably going to want to do a get mapping and return all of our movies, right? So we'll say public flux type movie, all. And return this flux service, find all movies. Simple. I'm going to keep this fairly short just so we can get through all the stuff that I want to get through. But we'll probably also want to bring back a particular movie, right? So a mono type movie by ID. And we'll annotate this as a path variable, make sure we get our ID so that then we can do this. No pun intended. This return this flux service find one, find by ID, excuse me, ID. That's good. And now let's do a get mapping so we can pull back. Actually, I'll come back to that. ID events. So this will give us our events for a particular movie. Now, you have a couple options when you're talking about creating a flux of something and returning it to a non-reactive client. So, for instance, if you're wanting to return this to a web browser, you have a couple of options in how a web browser can consume that potentially never-ending stream. So one of them is server-send events, which works really well when you're just kind of pushing stuff from the server. The other is WebSocket, which is bidirectional. Since all we're doing at this point is just pushing values as they come in from our server, I'm going to be using server-sent events. To do that, I just specify this as a value and then specify produces, specifying from there the media type. I make sure I grab the right one. Text event string value, which is how we provide a server-sent event output like this. So public flux, movie event. Thank you, Chris, for not being mean. All right, so let's see. Event. Let's see. Get events. And we'll provide a path variable, of course, for our string ID and return this flux service. Find by ID, right? And then we will flat map mini, and take that resulting mono of movie and do a this flux service get movie events. And in theory, at least, that should work. So let's see what happens, right? Boom. Okay, we'll restart this and cross our fingers. That's not happy. Oh, address already in use. Okay, well, that's not actually so bad, is it? So, that looks happier. Okay, so we see, again, that we have movies, valid movies, and the flux are extracted in the rom-com now. So that's cool. Flux is comedy. I need to work out a better algorithm. Okay, so let's pick these up and see what we have. So if we do a local host 8080 movies, this is what I chart. Hold on. So I'll bring that up. So we have our flux type movie, and it's returning that as we would expect. Everything's fine. So let's pick one out. We'll do the monorail. Grab that, and see if we can do a find one. And of course, it works, because everything always works in live demos, right? So far, so good. Okay, and then let's stream our events. So I need to back that off so it'll fit. No, it's not going to. Oh yeah, it actually does pretty well in one line. Okay, so now we have our server-send events, our flux server-send events provided to our non-reactive client, which is cool. I mean, that's nice. But we were talking about doing reactive all the way up and down the pipeline, right? So it's turtles all the way down. We need a reactive web client. And we can do that because we happen to have the capability to do a reactive client in Project Reactor as well. So I'm going to create a flux client. I'm not going to need reactive Mongo because the service can lose all the data on its own. We don't need to do that in the client as well. And actually, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and generate the project. Let's save that down. And then let's go open it. and boom, boom. And this is actually pretty straightforward. This is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to if you're using string on the server, of course. But it's not too bad. The first thing I'm going to do though is go to the application.properties file because by default, since I brought in the reactive web dependency, it's going to fire up Netty, and then of course the default port is 8080. You have that in use. So there are two things you can do. One's the right way, which is to just disable that. Or the other is just to do what I'm doing for the purposes of a fast demo, and that's just to give it another port. So don't do this at home. Okay, so we're going to go to the main application. Oops. Boom. Main application class. That's better. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a bean of type web client. Return web client.create. Now, this is sufficient to get you started. But what you can also do when you're creating your web client is to provide its starting point in terms of URL. So we're going to actually point this to http://localhost 880/movies, right? Because that's where the whole thing starts in terms of our FluxFix service. So we're going to return a client, key to that already, and then I'm going to once again create a bean. The implements command line runner, we'll call it demo. I'm going to inject our web client. And once again, return strings, so we get our planned implementation of our abstract method. Let's do this. Let's do a client.get.uri. And since we've already specified the movies endpoint, the first thing we're going to do is get our list of movies back. So that's fine. We're good with that. And then we're going to exchange. I'm taking all the heat off the front row. I should just leave that like that. See if anybody noticed the glaring red. Wait, I'm checking out it. So let's see. Then if I do this, and then you see anything wrong with that row? Anybody? Okay, so we're good. Everybody's still awake, right? So I'm going to then flat map that stuff. Take the client request, and I'm going to do a client, client response dot body to flux. Oh, except for one thing, we need domain objects, right? So I'm going to do, again, Lombok. I'm going to create my class movie, private string ID, title, genre. I don't have to worry about any kind of persistence on this, so that's cool. Data, movie, almost let you off the hook, or I did let you off the hook again. Darn it. Class, movie, private, string, user, private, movie, private, date, when. Got it? Okay. So now we have our model. So we're going to convert our response to a Fluxo type movie. So now that we flat map that, let's filter out a particular movie. So we'll take our movie, we'll do a movie.getTitle equals lowercase. So which movie do you want to pull back? This is one of the tough questions. This won't work right if you don't pick the right movie. So this is really important. And let me know.
Silence of the Lambda.
Okay, that's a good choice. Good choice. Okay. What?
I really like the one with the what's called this?
Aeon Flux?
No, the one with the bracket. The mono S of the
Oh, it's the mono voice. Okay, we can do that.
Characters.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, that's cool. Hey, never let it be said that we don't try to please, right? Okay, so now we're filtering. We should get back a mono type movie now at this point. So now what we need to do is, let's see, we'll subscribe to that, and then we'll take that movie. Actually, it's just a movie, sorry. And then we'll do a client.get again. Oops, boom, Uri. And at this point, we need to select the ID, right? And we'll append. I can't type. Am I still making sense? Am I still, like, okay, nobody's pushed me off the stage yet, so we're good. Or at least you're being kind anyway. We're going to take the movie, we're going to get ID, so we will place that ID in as a path variable. So we're going to take that, and we'll exchange, and then we will flat map many that puppy. So we'll take our client response, and we'll do a client response body.flux, and this time we're going to be concerned about the moving event, right? So we're going to get our stream of events. So let's see here. So I'm flattening that puppy, and then we will, let's see, subscribe, yeah, listen that out. That should be good, right? Oh. Pringles. Yeah, Pringles. It's going to be Pringles. Okay. So, in theory, at least that should work. Let's find out. And if not, we'll troubleshoot.
You need to explain something to me, which is bothering me a little. This ID, how does it map from movie get ID to the curly bracket ID? I mean, okay, now it is rather simple because you only have one substitution. But
Yes.
What if I have this situation where I have more than one curly bracket entry in this URL?
This is a shorthand for a URI builder, so you can substitute in to your heart's content. You either pass in a map or you pass in a value. In this case, we're passing in a value, but you can pass you can provide a map as your second parameter.
Yeah, but how does it map? Does it map by the name of the field and the object, or?
No, if you pass in the map, the key of the map will be the name of the variable.
I see, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it is working, so that's good, right? It's late and I'm still writing semi-useful code. So we've got this thing working, so I guess just to kind of summarize, and then I'll go back to the slides and kind of wrap up there. We went reactive all the way up and down the stack, right? We started with our application and drove down to the data store, and that was done reactively, so we didn't block at all. We went from there and built an API. We went from there and built a REST API, so we could communicate either via standard like web browsers or via fully reactive client. So we did all that. We built all that. So in the end, we're reactive. We're not blocking anywhere in that process at all. So let me kill that. It is killed. It is dead. Okay, and then kill that. And then, oh, actually, I don't have to switch back because I'm mirrored, right? Sweet. It simplifies things. Okay, there are tons and tons and tons of links. I couldn't fit them all on one thing, so I kind of just cherry-picked the top three, I think. The first is the Reactive Streams site, which gives you a lot of information just generally about reactive streams that apply to, again, everybody's implementation of reactive streams, as well as the kind of impetus behind it. And then, of course, the next one is our Reactive Streams implementation project, reactor.io. And the final one is effectively the same code you saw tonight. I mean, there may be some small variations on the theme, but that's what Josh and I hammered out. It's on GitHub. So please do pull it down. Please, and like I say, with all things Spring, you can get the bits. But more than that, you can get the code and play with it. And if you find something that is not working the way you would expect it to, please ping us, because it may be that you're not using it in the way that it's probably intended to be using, or it may be that it's broken. But ask the question. And if it's broken, guess what? We take pull requests. But here's the other thing. Do ask before you say, hey, I found this problem, and I spent all weekend developing this fix. Because it may be that we've already been working on a fix that we've already started incorporating, that works with everything else, and that's really frustrating. I mean, it's terrible to invest a lot of time to have somebody go reject it. So ask the question. But if we don't have something in the pipeline and you throw out some good sample code, we may just say, hey, develop a fix and implement it, incorporate it. So work with us. Again, any of you who have been or are working with Spring know we're very community driven. I think that's it. Oh, I'm on Twitter. Email is just mark@hecklers.org, but please do reach out. This was kind of a very fast whirlwind tour, and I didn't cover everything, but I tried to cover a lot, at least to some depth that was useful. But if you think of something, if there's something we feel like I left out, gave short treatment, maybe I feel the same way, and we can talk about it at length, because I'm happy that anybody who knows me knows I love to talk. So. Any questions?
That's a good thing.
Because we've got this till what, midnight, right? Okay, maybe not. I know.
So what about debugging?
This,
The reactive style is a bit harder to debug with a traditional debugger.
yes, this is a conversation I was having with somebody a night or two ago. Actually, they said, oh, Reactive's so much easier because you have an event loop and you can just kind of like monitor the event loop and you can, figuratively watch as it comes around and see what values are there. And I was like, I see where you're coming from, but it makes things a lot more difficult when you're not blocking and you all of a sudden get an exception thrown at the stack. It does. There's an old saying. I'm a quote fiend too. I love movie quotes and TV quotes and just pithy quotes of any kind. But I read a quote years ago of technology gives to you with one hand and takes away with the other. And this is kind of one of those cases. It is a hugely valuable tool in certain use cases, but it's not the golden hammer. It doesn't hammer in every nail and turn every screw. It also provides you a lot of neat capabilities, very useful capabilities, but it does also increase complexity because it's just as microservices added a lot of complexity to trying to figure out where things fail. The tooling, the instrumentation had to come up to speed in order to, like tracing. I always think of Sleuth and Zipkin, distributed tracing. In many ways, it's tougher because when you have a problem with a monolith, if it's a performance problem, you know it's in the monolith, right? And there's one place it can be. It may be somewhere in the millions of lines of code, but you know where you're starting. Whereas in a microservices architecture, you don't always know where you're starting. Because if you have multiple interactions among 24 microservices, where's the problem creep in? The good thing is, with certain tooling, you can actually identify your baselines and then see that this call between this service and this service that normally takes a couple hundred milliseconds, took 5 seconds. So you can identify much more rapidly sometimes with a distributed system the problem and fix it than you could have in a monolith because it's not hidden in this giant block. So same thing with this. It does increase, a reactive model does increase your difficulty in trying to trace things, in trying to track down issues. I think over time you're going to see a lot better instrumentation, a lot better monitoring, a lot better identification and resolution of issues. But I'm not going to kid you, it is more complex. You're going to do a lot more logging and seeing where things go off the tracks. So, and again, I say that to say this because, and not to poke anyone in the eye, but there are a lot of people who go, Reactive, it's the new thing. It's sort of like, there are no JavaScript people in here, right? Let me just ask that before I say any more. It's like...
She's always right.
Okay. No. Well, okay, JavaScript is... I will say horribly unfairly that JavaScript has a reputation of having a new framework every day. So you'll have strong advocates for that new framework, whatever it is. It's like, yeah, that was so yesterday. This is the new hotness. Reactive kind of is in the same boat. You have some folks within our sphere who are very much like there's no problem Reactive can't solve. World hunger, fine, we got that. War, we'll eliminate war with reactive programming. But the point is, I would like to say that if you're working with an imperative model now and it's not giving you any problems at all, that may not be a use case that you want to consider for a reactive approach. Maybe you do. Maybe there are other reasons that you might think of. Maybe your consumers are being somewhat swamped at times. Maybe you're having a hard time controlling that flow from your server. Maybe that would be something. Maybe you're looking at more efficiently controlling the resources on your server, limiting them, and doing more with less, and you've been struggling with how to do that because of the multi-threading and the blocking. Those are all valid, but I guess the thing that I come back to is if what you're doing is working for you in that use case, that's probably not a great candidate anyway. So there are going to be some use cases that you'll look at and go, I think that might make sense. Explore those. But don't wholesale feel like you have to throw it out and start over. By the way, and that brings me to another point, for those of you who have been working with Spring for a long time, that didn't look really alien to you, did it? I mean, it looked pretty familiar. It's not dramatically different than what you're already doing. I mean, yeah, you saw a few more functional style type of approaches, but you still had REST controllers, you still had request mapping, you still had get mappings and things like that. You still saw a lot of the stuff that looks very much like stuff you're working with every day. And you can have those, two efforts going side by side and not have completely separate teams that aren't interoperable, that don't understand how the other side works at that point in time. And I think that's hugely valuable. So if you want to go all FRP, full bore, you can do it, but you don't have to, and you can still get the results, the benefits from it. So. Anything else? Yes? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought, no.
I would know if this means it's kind of how do you handle back pressure and buffering on the other side, because it's an interesting topic for us in the energy market and having lots of data coming in from smart metering and stuff. It would be interesting how to buffer this stuff in reactive state, and also the other way around, how to implement back pressure.
Well, okay, you're talking about from the server side.
Yes. In both directions, actually.
Well, from the client, and I showed you a hint of that in the testing, which is that you basically are specifying how much you can take as a consumer, and that is your. It's the analogy that you always see on slides, or the volume knob on an amplifier, because you can say, hey, give me 2, or give me 10, or whatever, and that is it's a way of specifying as a consumer how much you can take, and thus not get overwhelmed. It doesn't solve the problem. It just makes it a little easier to deal with on the server side. But the server still has issues in how to handle a large flow of values that you may not be ready to consume. And this is, I think, what you're alluding to. You have the hot and cold and sort of thing.
Actually, the vice versa. Buffering on the server from buffering
right.
event.
There are. Are you familiar with RxJava? I don't. Okay.
I know.
This is an area. Yeah, this is an area that's been dealt with. David Carnock is one of the main contributors to Project Reactor, and he's also still one of the main contributors to RxJava version 1, 2, and now 3, I think. They did some API changes or something with and either are or will be releasing 3. But he wrote a really nice article about this somewhere. I'll see if I can locate it. But it's the same type of approach with RxJava and with Reactor and probably on the streams as well. But you have multiple ways of dealing with that on the server in terms of buffering it and how do you want to control that buffer? Do you want to save all values and then feed upon request like the last value as of the request?
Basically, there's a volume knob on the server as well. Yeah,
I mean it's you have different. It's a bad analogy. You have different knobs or levers you can pull, but that's upon you to decide which one makes sense for your use case, because there's not a solution that fits them all. But that's built into Project Reactor. It's built into RxJava. It's probably built into all of them, but they're all basically doing effectively the same things, the same options.
Yeah. So back pressure is actually easy to solve if you can slow down the producer. If you have devices, that would mean your devices would have to send events less often. It depends on the devices that is possible or not. Otherwise, you have to put a buffer somewhere in between. Yeah. Otherwise, you have to put a buffer in between.
But I mean, this is a question that I also had, because in this case, what we just had was with a server that was pushing, basically, as far as I understood it, pushing events into the web stream, in the value stream, without any regard for anybody listening. So if I have the client that can't keep up, how can the client impede back pressure on the server here? I mean, it's wrong approach.
Well, that's where, like with the test case, where the unit test, where you do the take 10.
Yeah, okay, that was in the test. But how would you produce back pressure in a scenario like you just pointed out, and with the web service in between as boundary between the client and the server?
Maybe to remember.
Okay, you're talking. Okay, I see what you're saying. You have to specify it on your subscription. When you subscribe, you can specify.
As a client, you have to.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like in web client, you'd specify a certain like a take as well, or a parameter that you provide. I can't remember where you put the parameter. Now that you mentioned that, I'll have to go back and play. But you specify the number of values you're willing to take.
Okay.
And then, of course, you effectively on next, then you provide the next. Give me 2 more or 10 more or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
But again, that's just from the client perspective, and that's important. That's absolutely key. But what Michael was saying is how do you tune your server to handle the right thing, to do the right thing, I should say. And that's where it gets into the, like again, if let's say your producer, your publisher, how do I always say that? your publisher produces, that's why, 100 values within a second. And you subscribe and you want to get 10. Which 10? Do you want to get the 10 as of the time you subscribe? Or do you want to get the 10 that we're backing up here? Or maybe it's a sporadic or bursty type of flux. So you get 5 values and then 2 values and then it waits 3 hours and it gives you 17 values. So you have to decide at that point how you want to handle that. So when somebody subscribes, when you have a subscriber that connects, what do you want to provide? The last 2? The next 2? Or the 2 that were as of a certain point in time? So that's on the server, you specify that. So that if you have a client which says, give me 2 or 10 or whatever, or just give me the unlimited stream. And then on the server, you have to tune what makes sense. But you have that lever. I think you were first.
Just a short question regarding Spring. So
Yes.
I think you mentioned it. The Project Reactor also works without Spring, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dependency you can pull in and,
Yeah, sure.
Maven Central. So, yes.
Technology-wise, using external producers, you use the Reactive Mongo repository because it supports this style of programming. Will there be a Reactive JPM repository? Will there be a Reactive File API? Will there be, what are the limitations? I think the core technology has to support it, so I think there will not be a Reactive JDBC driver for Oracle.
Yes,
soon, or?
I mentioned that a little bit, but I'm glad you brought that up because Mark Hecklers has done the Reactive Redis, I think he calls it.
Yeah.
And then and that's still very much a work in progress, so that's going to evolve. And then Couchbase, I understand, has a driver that's reactive. Now, I haven't played with it.
Is it just a question to implement the right driver, or does the core technology of the component I'm interacting with the driver has to support it?
Driver and of course your dependency for your application. Is that? Or
I can make it easy for you. There will be, in JDBC4, there will be an async driver support.
Okay.
Which still means you have to have an async driver that actually supports it on any.
So they say. No.
Well, it is in the specification.
Right, yeah. And specifications.
Before it's killed.
No,
Different.
I think it's a good sign. I really do. And time will tell. But I think every data source, every data provider will provide reactive capabilities.
So most likely it's also a question of the adoption of the technology. So anytime soon, all major technologies will be forced to move into that direction because it's
To be competitive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All except Java E.
Hey,
They have 10, 20 years.
keep it clean. Keep it clean. All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, thanks for coming. If you think of anything else, ping me. I'm on Twitter way more than it's healthy to be. And I'm on email once in a while. So mark@hecklers.org or MKHeck, or tweet me and DM me or whatever. It's all good. But thanks for coming. And just keep it going. Download the bits, play with it, and keep moving the football down the field.
Thank you for coming over, and I forgot it at the start. Thank you, Kisters, for having us here. I'm sorry, I forgot it at the beginning of the talk. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. And brought you even more chocolate, Mark. Drinks are world famous. Enjoy them.
Great. I have to say I enjoy food way more than I should. Obviously.
Like Twitter.
Yeah, wow, that's glad that didn't happen. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and thanks so much for the invite. Hope I can come back again sometime soon.
Until next time.
I will save this and get it to.
Yeah, we get it for all. Awesome. Thank you.